Why on earth did Subaru put a 22B in a wagon? And more importantly, why is the internet silent about it? In an era where the Supra and Skyline took the headlines, Subaru was quietly building a golden rabbit that either doesn't or shouldn't exist. Welcome to JDM Archives, where we explore the extremely vast golden era of JDM car culture, thousands of lost documents and information. When people hear 90s JDM, Skyline and Supra, or Nissan and Toyota is probably what jumps to mind as leading edge. This is not the case at all. While they hold their special part in history, it's equal to the other manufacturers. Alongside both Nissan Motorsport, Nismo, and Toyota Racing Development, TRD, every JDM manufacturer was pushing the limits far beyond how people remember the 90s. Mazda had Mazda Speed for their in-house tuning, showcasing their cars at every Tokyo Auto Salon, along with the hundreds and hundreds of pages of catalogue parts that you could fit to your car when buying your RX-7 new from Mazda, or MX-5 Miata, or really any Mazda vehicle for that matter, could be turned into one of Mazda Speed builds or even special and limited edition models. Honda has their R range of cars, with parts as wild as road-going special homologation F1 intake style air ducts, like we covered in one of my earlier videos. Then they had the Mugen range of cars that went far beyond what you can imagine, where Honda's son, Hirotoshi, made specific racing and street parts to fit the OEM road-going Honda vehicles, designed for his father's empire, Honda. Straight from the factory. Exhausts, turbos, intakes, wide body kits, carbon fibre, lots of carbon fibre, many of which come under the umbrella of original road-going Honda parts. Mitsubishi, Rally Art, and STI, battling it out head-to-head for the better part of a decade, caused a huge overflow of parts into the showrooms. Because of all these parts and research, the byproduct was then extremely rare and limited niche vehicles. Because this was all taking place at the turn of the millennium, nothing was really being correctly documented, or at least by today's standards of electronic documentation. It was an awkward crossover for car history as it changed from analog to digital. Even the cars at JDM auctions were often still being sold with phone calls. As a consequence, unfortunately, a lot of the information was lost, remains almost extinct, other than a few video game references as breadcrumbs to the old original brochures and catalogues. I prefer, rather than extinct, to think of it as more dormant information just waiting to be found. I can't remember how I came across this car originally. I think it was off the back of researching Subaru's convertible Impreza project, the Subaru Operator. Full leather and luxury cruiser. No focus on rallying like the WRX. Full intention of production, but the build never made it beyond the Tokyo Auto Show. I saw this brochure, lost the auction, and was pretty devastated about that, because I didn't see it pop up again for quite a while. Then I spent an amount of money that I definitely won't make back from this video, but it's worth it. Scanning, color correction, and aligning, all this content takes a lot of time, and I still have somewhere in the thousands of pages left to scan. If there's a specific car, OEM part, brochure, or just a car that you're interested in and would like to see, comment, and I'll try to prioritize it. If you know the year, that helps a lot when I'm digging around through the archives. So where does the Subaru Golden Rabbit first appear? The earliest I could find, in HyperRev's Volume 40, what I call the Subaru Legacy Bible, on the pages leading up to the Golden Rabbit, they talk about a STI Legacy. I'm not exactly sure where this fits into the timeline of the Legacy, because there is no history that I could find on this either. Maybe a precursor to the GTB, because Subaru had just come off the back of the 22B the year before, and lots of leftover parts were available. Anyway, talk of the Tommy Mäkinen edition for Mitsubishi over in the other garages. Subaru needed something really special. Conversation had already begun with the Electra 1 and Electra 2 at the Tokyo Motor Show, which did eventually lead to production of one of the most ultimate S-Series, street-going Rexes by Subaru, S201, which always starts the is a 22B better than an Impreza debate, which I genuinely can't answer. But where can a wagon fit into this picture? To give you an idea of how big the scene was around the Legacies in the 90s and early 2000s, throughout the rest of the video, I'll routinely just put up some period correct Subaru Legacies built one-of cars, demo cars, concept cars, body kits, all from the same era. This interview really takes us into Subaru STI's mindset. Aggressive exterior styling unique to the STI legacy. The highly refined design, consisting of a grille, integrated front bumper, side steps, and rear bumper, is sharply finished off by STI BBS wheels. The STI Aero package debuted at the '99 Tokyo Auto Salon and quickly became a hot topic as the STI model is refined from the original concept. Around the front end, the original platform grille design is retained, while the motif is extended right through to the openings of the side skirts, creating a strong sense of unity and presence. At the same time, the radiator opening at the front has been widened to the maximum, improving engine cooling efficiency. Functional performance was also clearly considered in this aero design. The side skirts are finished in a clean, flowing line, but the front and rear bumper lines are indispensable for creating a unified appearance. When the ride height is lowered, care has been taken so that the clearance between the tyres and wheels remain optimal, allowing the styling to match naturally even though the vehicle is dropped by around 30mm, just over an inch. The rear bumper captures the airflow coming from the sides, and by using a bridge style structure, it successfully provides a sense of thickness without appearing bulky. The sharpness and volume, normally opposing qualities, are balanced impressively through this aero design. This is the idea of function, and STI's aerodynamics is an element that cannot be overlooked. In recent WRC built cars, World Rally Championship, have increasingly focused on downforce as speeds continue to rise, with aerodynamic weight becoming more significant. STI also devoted considerable effort to aerodynamics, and this know-how is incorporated through aero parts, shaping them to generate downforce. And then there's no real need for me to read the translation to these, as pictures are worth 1,000 words here. But summarising for you, gold BBS Subaru wheels, a cheaper aluminium strut tower brace, just as strong as the carbon fibre Subaru specifies, but slightly heavier in aluminium. And Subaru's mindset behind this was a more cost-effective STI part. And then I'll make sure to put on screen here, my old STI had the carbon fibre option, which I always really liked. And then cherry pink STI brake pads, STI cherry pink and aluminium pedals for both auto and manual, 300km dash, high quality construction STI muffler and WRC gear knob for manuals. And another clue that this was in the same conversation as the S series. Electra is the concept name used for the S2 and S401. The wheels, as part of the price sheet, are named Electra L, later being advertised in the STI parts catalogue, alongside the other STI wheels. If you feel like you've seen more wheels than this on WRXs of the time, you probably have. This is just all that's displayed on this page. Electra R, S, C, and then L on the Legacy, offered in silver, white or gold. And then the aluminium, which looks like Subaru branded rays. And then underneath all this, we just have some parts that are listed as TBA, or to be announced sometime later in autumn. The suspension is still in development, Subaru says, which fits the timeline with the high-performance GTB Bilstein model that seems to have taken the reins as the ultimate of the legacy wagons. And then one I love, the Subaru turned Tomicara B4 and TB. The Hyper Rev feature car looks like the exact same car used as the feature in their own manufacturer brochure. Most recognisable spoiler, Pro R wheels, dash, paint, and most notably on this car, the decals give it away. How many do we think were made in this exact optional extra combo? Surely not many. Note the sedan as well, despite being classified as their own Japanese car manufacturer, Tomicara breaks the gentleman's agreement in both these cars. A quick search online and I found what looks like the Brochure's car being sold in Japan recently. This group primarily exports, so I wouldn't be surprised if this beauty migrated out of Japan. Tomicara's seats, wheels, decals, exhaust, body kit, VIN, such a nice looking unique car. Digital dash, some leftover STI parts too, very nice. Much less of a sleeper by Tomicara. The decal and large 90s style spoiler is a bit of a giveaway that it means business. So now looking at the concept details, reminding you, in the timeline, this is before we got the brochure. The concept model demonstrates STI's future direction. At the '99 Tokyo Auto Salon, the STI concept model attracted significant attention as an aggressive step forward in street tuning development. Nicknamed Hybrid, featured not only an engine equipped with STI's largest series production turbine and exhaust, but also revised suspension settings, with the car lowered another 18mm. What is especially noteworthy is that nearly all of the parts fitted to this vehicle are planned for production release. STI's confidence in the street tuning market can clearly be seen through this bold approach. At present, the aero parts are already at a stage where mass production is possible. The day when these dream parts become reality may not be far away. Subaru speaking to HyperRev here. As far as the specifications go, there is more in the production brochure than just the concept discussion here, so I'll read that part out to it when we get to it in a moment. But another part suggesting that Subaru intended this for full release at the time of writing this is this reading. When it was displayed at the '99 Auto Salon, the aero parts were still study model items, but now they have progressed towards commercial production. Many of the other parts are still undecided, however this was not merely a show model created only for exhibition purposes, but rather a concept model carrying real significance for STI's future. I'm still hunting the old videos trying to actually find it there. So many incredible cars were displayed at the Tokyo motor shows back in the day. It's just so easy to get lost in them. It was almost competitive between manufacturers, whereas today it's a little bit more built around nostalgia. The emblem features STI's mascot character, the rabbit. This is a major clue on the car, and this goes way back, and I mean way back. I got an absolutely fantastic long message on Instagram helping me piece together many of the gaps from a subscriber who had done some really extensive research and then messaged it through to me on Instagram. So big thanks if you're watching. The story of the Fuji Rabbit starts as early as World War I, where a naval officer turned politician businessman saw the need for an advanced aviation for the Japanese military. He founded Nakajima Aircraft Company. During the Second World War, Nakajima built all kinds of aircraft, including bombers, fighters, reconnaissance planes, transport aircraft, and as World War II came to an end with Japan's surrender, strict limitations were placed on these supply companies and their military production. So like many of the manufacturers of the time, they had all this equipment, all these facilities, but very little to do with it. So they turned to civilian products. Japan's economy was hurt badly, and the everyday Japanese person needed cheap, affordable transport. Fuji Scooters was born, the Fuji Rabbit. You see where this is going?
Enormous fun.
What we may call unusual naming now, but its main competitor was the Mitsubishi Silver Pigeon. The name to the Rabbit scooters was thought of the way the rider would look while riding: feet together, legs together, straight back, and paws forward, or should we say hands on the handlebars. It strangely makes perfect sense as you piece it together. So how does the Fuji scooter tie into Subaru's history? Fuji scooters became Fuji Heavy Industries, which later got fully consumed by Subaru. And yes, the same Fuji Heavy Industries that had an aerospace division work on and wind tunnel test the S201's aerodynamics, lining up with the timeline of the Golden Rabbit. And all of a sudden, that bizarre Subaru Rabbit badge that I'm sure so many people took off their golden era optioned cars, disposed of, but when knowing this unlocks so much meaning. The intention to pay homage to its earliest roots. Aircraft turned scooters turned performance cars. Coming across to Subaru Tecnica International's brochure, it's pretty small but ready for production. 4 short pages, bi-directional in the way you can read it, with a fallout page to cover. It makes sense to talk about the WRX here as it's in the same STI brochure, if you flip it the other way. And it's just so interesting with all its blood red colours throughout. Pure white Thoroughbred. It may appear a little refined at first glance, but it carries the bloodline of the WRC born Thoroughbred. The deep crimson pulse flowing through its body is proof of that. A brave boxer sound that does not suit its smart styling. A tight cockpit that relentlessly heightens the driver's tension. Feet that carve out precise strokes without disturbance. Everything about it is pure driving quality itself, says Subaru in the brochure. So the engine, high power 2-litre engine, I assume phase 2, EJ207. High output camshaft, large capacity aluminium air intake duct, red wrinkle finish belt cover. This eventually made it to standard on the phase 2 Boxer JDMs, EJ207s. If you have one or see one without it, It will either be an early model as an optional extra like here, or comes as standard later on. If it's missing and you're buying one, that's normal. A lot of them wore off with time back to the metal. Then STI's twin plate clutch, killer type high efficiency air cleaner. I'm not really sure what it means by killer here, but maybe the same as the 22B. It does look the same, or maybe just working off the theme of a bloodline Thoroughbred. High powered ECU, large diameter boxer type single exhaust muffler, transmission, which is the same as the 22B, which include the material changes and hard shot peening treatment, reinforced transmission gears, so bulletproof transmission. And then the exterior, World Rally car type front bumper. You have to think of this brochure in the timeline of the WRX. It looks normal, but it's also prototyping the version 6 and beyond to some extent. 3-stage large rear spoiler. This is one of the craziest spoiler options on the JDM WRXs. Don't see many OEM true double-decker spoilers getting around. And then this ended up being fitted to the S201 as standard. Large air intake duct, World Rally car type hood grille, titanium STI emblem, and Subaru had fantastic emblems that you could get. They also had the pink cherry blossom eye for Impreza, like on mine. A darker green color, Subaru stars, quite a few. Carbon door mirrors, and they ended up making these much more streamlined by the end of the era. So onto the suspension and brake. Raised lightweight forged competition aluminium wheels. Tyres, height adjustable suspension, again from factory. Reinforced bushings and links. Lightweight high rigidity aluminium front strut tower bar and rear strut tower bar. And interesting how they refer to this as lightweight here, after referring to it as heavier than carbon fiber earlier. And then red painted 4-pot front brakes, sports brake pads, and stainless mesh covered Teflon brake hoses. Interior, and this is really cool. Competition Recaro full bucket seats, red leather rear seats, red leather door trim. So much red, even the stitching is red on the steering wheels. There's so much red that the carbon center panel is reflecting red in the picture. Carbon center panel, stainless steel side sill plates. So that will be the STI plates that sit at the base of the door when you open it. Aluminium shift knob, stainless steel ABC pedal covers. They made it into the options for most STI cars. Red speed meter, 6-point roll bar, in guess what color? Yep, red. Takata competition full harness. And this makes sense with the Takata STI modified baby seats for the Legacy. I wish they showed a zoomed in shot of the STI plaque in the center dash. It would answer a lot of questions. And then flipping the brochure to the other direction, Golden Rabbit. It would no longer be an exaggeration to call it synonymous with the sports wagon category. And that's a fair call from Subaru here. Base 2 boxer, 22B motor, roll cage, full body kit. That's fair enough to compare it to some of the greatest wagons ever built. The Legacy wagon has earned extremely high praise for its outstanding drive performance. We have added an overwhelming sense of presence to this excellent foundation. At the same time, even greater driving performance has been achieved. With supple body movement, it runs through rough roads like a rabbit, is what Subaru says. This strong-legged athlete is by no means just a gentle pet. Some translations are just wonky by the time they're moved from Japanese to English. And this is where it gets really interesting because they arguably put more into the Legacy as a standalone model in comparison to the WRX of the same brochure. So engine, 2.2 litre, EJ, 22B, forged pistons, high output camshaft, same red wrinkle coverings, red wrinkle finish intercooler and belt cover, stainless mesh brake hoses, STI twin plate clutch, killer type large high efficiency air cleaner, large diameter aluminium air intake duct, single turbo. I imagine the large single turbo would have been selected in line with the 22B. Large diameter boxer type dual exhaust muffler, 2.2 litre high powered ECU, transmission, material changes, and hard shot peening treatment, reinforced transmission gears. So the same treatment to the transmission. And then the exterior, large original sporty front bumper, equipped with fog lamp covers, original front grille with rabbit emblem, large original side skirt, rear bumper, waist spoiler and roof spoiler. I wonder what it means by waist spoiler. Titanium STI emblem for some extra yen as an upgrade. Now this is really interesting. Ray's original gold plated aluminium wheels.
What did you say?
So that doesn't necessarily mean thick, valuable jewelry grade gold plating. but the wording does indicate an actual plated gold finish rather than simply gold coloured paint. Given that Subaru documents it in the Tokyo Auto Salon, real gold plating on the wheel surface would not be surprising. The brochure specifically says gold plated, not gold painted or gold coloured, plated. It also explains the naming and phrasing of Golden Rabbit. And it also explains the unique raised selection of wheel that I don't think we've seen on any other factory Subarus before. And then the tyres, Bridgestone Potenza, height adjustable and 4-stage damping adjustable sports rear damper and spring suspension. This aligns with the Hyper-Rev interview where Subaru spoke as if the suspension not yet decided. Obviously, decided now. Pillow ball front strut upper mounts, reinforced suspension bushings, high rigidity, aluminium front strut tail bar, large diameter brakes, stainless mesh covered Teflon brake hoses. So the same as the other by the looks of it, but also visibly drilled. So the interior is very special, probably one of the most interesting interiors I've ever seen. And there's some very interesting interiors getting around the JDM Golden era. So maybe I couldn't go that far, but this one is definitely right up there. Carbon Kevlar style leather Recaro front seats. I'd say this is more likely not real carbon Kevlar material, just judging by the wording. It implies more of a focus on styling, but I wouldn't rule it out entirely. I don't really know much about this in the context of materials, but what's interesting is if you search carbon Kevlar material on the web, an exact match in styling comes up. The same colors, depths, and weaves. Looks exactly the same. Then we have the same carbon Kevlar style leather rear seats, carbon Kevlar style leather door trim, and the fine dots you see when you're looking very closely. We're reaching the end depths of my scanner here. That's likely not fabric. Kevlar dashboard cover? No style written here. This wording does imply real Kevlar for the dash. White face speedo, the 300km faces. STI did both a standard 180, 280 and 300 that I know of, but the needles look really nice. My old WRX had the 280km/h odometer on the brushed aluminium backing. STI center diff lock settings here. Adjusted off a scroll wheel in the center. I miss that car so much. 6-point roll cage, it's always cool as a factory fitting. A couple cars did that in the 90s as OEM. Like how I covered just the part on the Pulsar GTIR Baby Godzilla. And I think someone commented saying that they have the roll cage. So I'll see if I can find that comment and maybe get a picture sent in. But full individual car brochure breakdown coming on that soon. So you can subscribe if you want to be notified. Otherwise, even likes and comments always help me. Titanium shift knob, 9,000 yen. I always hunted one of these. They're not too hard to find. They just always sell really quickly. My favorite is with the 555 sponsor in the center. And then the stainless steel STI pedal covers, Takata original child seat, with most notable the STI logo displayed on it. And again, it's just insane that a high-powered version with a roll cage can be factory supplied and advertised with a baby seat, that they are also more than happy to put their branding on. It's also epic that Takata and STI did this. What's also subtly really cool, matching the STI of the year, grey and red in the fabric. It's handy to match up my old one here because it was the same year, 99. So I've been fortunate enough to drive in these and always loved the grey scale and red outer trims where your shoulders would sit. So I love that they stuck with that for the baby seat. I think the blue is more iconic though. I'll give them that. STI in the center of both seats. So overall, this car is as top-end Subaru as you possibly could get. A genuine JDM unicorn. So for a bit of opinion, how do I think this car came about? I think there were probably a few things running in parallel. The 22B finished production in 1998, and as that ceased, there were leftover parts. What to do with them? That makes some sense. I also wouldn't be surprised if the engineer and designer had a main influence of being a parent and maybe just wanted to build the ultimate mum van. That lines up with the STI baby seat. But I think the most plausible reasoning for the Golden Rabbit is the early 90s saw so much success in sales numbers for car manufacturers in Japan. The R32 GTR sold 4 times as many cars as the later R34 GTR, making the 34 quite literally 400% rarer, but not due to limited editions or popularity, just purely the economic bubble getting closer and closer to bursting. No one was buying. This is why we saw every JDM car manufacturer go from making such amazing vehicles to almost what felt like overnight full halt in production of enthusiast vehicles. The most glaringly obvious case of this is the Mark IV Supra. 16,000 vehicles sold in 93, 2,000 vehicles sold in 98, and then a very sad 337 vehicles in 2002, not even finishing the year in manufacturing. The same car, arguably even better to some, 2% of sales. I think this is probably the most plausible reason for not being able to find the car anywhere in the history books. So, my opinion, started as a prototype, made it to a concept car stage, did some interviews, discussions of a full production, brochure produced, ready to begin, and then the bubble burst at a global scale and the timeline just got chopped, and nothing unfolded or came about. Even the fact that the rabbit badge can just randomly pop up in carbon fibre and gold as optional extras on other Subarus, reminiscent of a car that never came. But yeah, please leave any information you know about the car or anything you think could add to it. Even if we did find it remained a concept car, at least the history would be complete. As for now, this remains as the lost Golden Rabbit, 22B, Subaru Tecnica International and Fuji Heavy Industries gone.